People's Platform.
Good evening and welcome to the People's Platform. Effective communication and leadership development are important skills to help us thrive in society. My guest tonight is the President of Toastmasters International, Morag Mathieson. Good evening and welcome to the show, Morag.
Thank you very much, Sonali. It's lovely to be here.
Lovely to have you here. You're visiting Sri Lanka for the first time. How has your visit been so far?
My visit's been too short, is my conclusion. I've been here for about a week and we've spent a lot of time in and around Colombo, meeting people, meeting organisations that sponsor the Toastmasters programme, meeting members, being part of a huge conference of almost 800 Toastmasters gathered together for the event over the weekend. And then finally today we had some time out at the beach at Negombo, which was just beautiful. It's made me feel like I want to come back and see the rest of the country.
Yeah. Fabulous. When we speak about the ethos of Toastmasters International, there are 14,300 clubs in 148 countries. In Sri Lanka alone, there are 162 clubs. Talk to us about what makes Toastmasters International grow.
Toastmasters International, we are celebrating 100 years of Toastmasters this year. Beginning in the US with a gentleman who saw a need for people to have life-transforming skills in communication particularly, but also leadership that would help them to find work in difficult times, that would help them to thrive in their society of that day. And although we're 100 years on from that time, today people still need those same skills. Employers hire people that have the technical skills that they need or the hard skills that they need. But once all of those things are taken into account, it's the soft skills that make the difference to how successful people will be in organisations. Also in communities and even in our families, communication skills make such a difference to the relationships that we build, the teams that we're part of, how we communicate our ideas and how we present ourselves, for example, in an interview situation or when meeting new people, even as simple as that. So there's a need across all of society. And I believe today our programme is needed just as much as it was 100 years ago. And I think that's what I see as I meet new members. And I met a lot of new members recently. I've been visiting different districts around the world. And I meet people who tell me just how helpful it's been to them. One of the things I often say about Toastmasters is that growth in self-confidence is the biggest byproduct of our programme. And that confidence comes from knowing that your skills are improving, that your communication and leadership skills are improving. And therefore you have the confidence to step out and take on new challenges perhaps, and just to feel stronger in the life that you have. And I think that's what's driving our growth around the world.
So this growth has a transformative aspect to it, where individuals themselves overcome their fears of public speaking, right?
Right. People come to Toastmasters for so many different reasons. Some people come to establish networks of contacts. That was my initial reason for coming, because I was in a new country and I needed to establish myself personally and professionally. And Toastmasters offered me a place where I could do that while also developing my skills. For others, they come because perhaps they have to give a speech at a special event and they're very nervous, or at work they want to be better at presenting their ideas at work. Usually those are the main kind of things that people come for, but really it's a whole spectrum of reasons that people come for. And that transformation that happens when people work the programme together. So people are built into what we describe as clubs, and our clubs are a kind of learning community where groups of people gather together to help each other learn. It's a learning by doing experience that people have. And as we are working that programme, we're learning as we go. So for example, if I prepare to present a speech that's introducing me to the group for the first time, then the others in the group will give me feedback about the impact that my speech has had on them. And they'll tell me the things I did that were great for them and helped them understand more about me. And then they'll suggest, next time you speak, you could do this, giving me ideas of how I could get better. And that gradual step-by-step working together in a learning community is what ultimately leads to transformation of the individual.
So there is a communal component to it where even when you do your icebreaker, people watch on, encourage you and help you improve further.
That's right. Our programme is established in these learning communities with a safe space for people to try new things, or even just trying something for the first time, where if you've never spoken in front of a group before, it can be extremely daunting. But we're in an environment that is both positive, and supportive, because we are all about the individual. Our programme is geared around the individual, about improving both skill and confidence in the individual. And the community does that as we gather together.
Morag, if we speak about Toastmasters clubs in Sri Lanka, and if we sort of juxtapose that with Sri Lanka's education system, we find that effective communication skills, which are a key soft skill, aren't really prioritized due to various reasons. As a result of which, students from rural communities find it difficult to access these services. Speak to us about Toastmasters in terms of accessibility.
There is no place, I think, that Toastmasters won't go.
Okay.
The clubs that we have in Sri Lanka are spread throughout the country, both in the cities and in the less populated areas. We also run programmes for young people that are separate from our main programme and are shorter term in nature, to give younger people those communication skills, particularly to help boost their confidence as they're coming to an age when those skills will be necessary for them accessing further education or accessing workplaces and so on. So we can basically set up a Toastmasters club anywhere, really. We saw from the pandemic a big challenge, because up until then almost all of our clubs met in person, and of course with the pandemic it meant that people couldn't meet in person, and we had to pivot our programme very quickly to be online until such times as people could meet and gather together. The legacy of that has been is that there are still some clubs that are fully online and other clubs that are hybrid, where some of the members are gathered in one place and others join online for that meeting. We see that model working in quite a number of companies.
Right.
Companies who have clubs often find that post-pandemic their employees are not in the office every day in the way that they were before, perhaps only a few days a week. So to allow the club to continue to function, it's much more flexible for them if some of their employees can join online when they're not in the office at the time that the club is meeting. So even for people in rural areas, that might be an option, to find a club that offers that online component to their meeting. Although the real power in the programme, I still believe, is the in-person experience, because we relate differently to each other when we're online as opposed to when we're in person. If I think of online clubs that I have visited, and then later manage to meet some of the people online, it is a completely different experience, especially the social dynamic that happens when people meet each other.
Absolutely. Morag, if there are any organizational heads watching us right now, and if they feel like they'd like to get to know more details about how they can form a Toastmasters club in their organization, how could you guide them?
Our Toastmasters website, www.toastmasters.org, has on it a number of access points. There's a lot of information there about forming clubs in the corporate environment, and there's also a portal called Find a Club, where you can look and see what's in your neighbourhood if you wanted to visit and experience the programme for yourself first. Or there's the option to request information on forming a club. And what happens there is when you submit that interest, someone locally, so someone from Sri Lanka, would contact those corporate leaders directly, people who submit the request for information about starting a corporate club. And then our representatives here, our senior leaders here, would visit the organisation if they requested that, meet with them and explain exactly how it all works, giving them the information. And then if they continue to be interested, to set up what we call a demonstration meeting or a launch meeting to start the programme in the organisation. And then we provide support. So every new club we start, we provide 2 experienced Toastmasters to guide that club for the first 6 to 12 months after it forms, so that they are left with a lot of support to help getting it going, so that it doesn't become a corporate leader's responsibility to run the club. Right. The club should be running itself, but would be run with support from experienced Toastmasters.
What if an individual wishes to witness firsthand what goes on at a Toastmasters club meeting before taking the plunge and joining?
The first thing to do would be to find a club that works for you. So from the Toastmasters website, www.toastmasters.org, we have a Find a Club section where you can enter your location, how far you're prepared to travel from that location, and you can look for specific days of the week, times of day that meetings happen. And then you can reach out to that club and ask about coming, or you can just go if you wanted to just go. So I would recommend checking first just to make sure. Guests are always welcome at meetings.
Right.
We love that when new people come, because new people bring a freshness and an idea. So there's very much a welcome waiting for you when you come to a Toastmasters club. And you can come without any requirement to participate in the meeting or do anything. You can really come and be an observer. You'll probably be asked to say your name, who you are, and you are most likely at the end of the meeting to be asked by someone how the experience was for you. Because as clubs, we want to get that feedback from people who come, and also to see how can we help you. That really helps us a lot if you're able to say on that visit, I'm really nervous about standing in front of a group, or I'm taking up a team leadership position at work, and I'd like to be more confident in front of my team, or I'm speaking at an event, whatever it is, then the club knows how to help you. And you can come as a guest, you can visit a number of meetings. Personally, at my very first meeting, I knew I wanted to join because I saw immediately a professionally run meeting where people laughed a lot and seemed to learn a lot. And I wanted to be in that learning environment at the same time as meeting new people.
Right.
But for others, it takes a lot longer. I know people who it's taken them several meetings just to feel comfortable that this is the right place for them. And that's okay, because we are each different. We make our own way through the programme. And there is no obligation to have to join. I would just hope that when guests come, they'd see the value and the benefit to themselves, and that they would want to join. And then once you do join, you can work the programme at your own pace. Not everyone is ready to speak from the first meeting after they join. Some people take a little bit longer. And that's good, that's okay. We encourage that. Every new member who comes, we offer the opportunity to have a mentor in the programme, a more experienced Toastmaster who will guide you and support you, to help you as you craft your first prepared pieces of speech that you're going to deliver, or help you when you're being part of the meeting, because the meetings are run by members for members, and each meeting role gives you the opportunity to practice different skills. For example, one of the really important meeting roles is that of timer. Some people find that strange when they come to clubs at first, that we time everything. But that's such an important skill today for everyone.
Yeah.
I used to work for a boss who would invite you to come and present to the board of the company. And he would tell you, you have 7 minutes. You'd never had 7 minutes and 2 seconds. You only ever had 7 minutes.
Yeah.
So that skill of learning to be on time with things, how long it takes to say something, is really important. And so we practice those kind of things in the meeting. We have a member who listens to how we use language and gives us feedback on how we could improve our language. We have members that are dedicated to giving feedback to speakers. We have someone who gets the opportunity to be the MC for the meeting and runs all of that.
Right.
And it's just great opportunities. But we take them at our own pace as we work through, and with the support of a mentor to help us, to give us the encouragement we need, as well as the guidance that we seek.
Okay, perfect. Morag, Toastmasters International is also a communication and leadership organization. This concept of leadership, being a leader, is not a linear process, and communication skills are of such pivotal importance. How does being a member of Toastmasters International benefit one in achieving that goal of leadership?
Throughout our programme, right from the beginning when a member joins, there are the opportunities to be part of a leadership process of one sort or another. So I mentioned a moment ago being the MC of a meeting for the evening. That's a leadership role, because you are leading all of the others who have a part in the meeting through the programme. It's a very simple leadership role, but you're getting that early feel of leadership right away in your club. Each club is run by itself, so it has a team of leaders who organise the club, someone who's responsible for finance, for public relations, for the education programme in the club. So there are 7 different roles that a club might have as part of its leadership team. And members take up those roles, giving them that opportunity to lead a specific area of work. And the beauty of that is those are transferable skills for the workplace.
Right.
And you can practice doing something there, and if it doesn't work out, somebody will dust you down, pick you up,
right,
and help you to work out how to do it better next time in a safe way. So then if you have to do something similar at work in a leadership role, then the stakes are not so high having tried it in your club first, than if you're doing it for the first time at work. But our whole programme has leadership opportunities throughout it. So clubs are supported in clusters that we call areas or divisions. And those are like a multi-site management role. So if you're thinking in your corporate life of working in that space, this is a great way to think about, how do I lead when I'm not in charge? You know, the clubs are responsible for themselves, and if you are that area director supporting 4 or 5 clubs together, you cannot tell them what to do. You have to learn how to lead with influence when you're there, at the same time as working on that multi-site approach. And the same with we group areas into divisions, into bigger groupings. And there you have the opportunity to work out what it is to cast a vision, to almost develop entrepreneurial skills in how do we create new opportunities. For example, I see the building of a club very much as bringing the benefits of Toastmasters to a new group of people. So you can learn how to do that. Great skills to take into the world of work if you work in that kind of environment. And we have additional roles that work in specialist areas around expanding the network of clubs in a district like Sri Lanka, or looking at an education programme. So, for example, I said I was at the conference here this weekend, and there's one person who has the opportunity to organise a national conference, build a team, and all that that involves in bringing a team together to run an event for almost 800 people. That's an amazing learning opportunity that you get, skills that you can take into your life wherever they are. And all the way through. So even my role as international president is not a paid role in the organisation, it's a volunteer role and can only be held by a member of the organisation. I have to be a member of a club or I can't do my job. And the thinking behind that is that you are so invested in the programme, you're invested in the organisation at all levels when you're international president. And this is an amazing experience for me to have global leadership, chairing the board of directors of the organisation and everything that that brings with it, at the same time being a global ambassador for the organisation. You know, I've visited in the last 4 weeks, I've been in different parts of the US, I've been in New Zealand, I'm here in Sri Lanka this week, and tonight I leave for Australia. So the opportunity to experience great cultural diversity and to understand more of how our programme works in all of these different settings.
Morag, shifting gears, we see the world over how a lack of proper communication can have drastic impacts on the world. The world is at war. And communication seems to be devoid of empathy. What role do you think Toastmasters International can play societally in bridging this global divide?
We have members at all levels in all different kinds of society today. And if I think of my own journey of communication skill development in Toastmasters, by profession, I'm a pharmacist. I'm very comfortable in that space of facts and figures and data, and struggled much more with the emotional side of communication and how you connect that way. And I often describe my journey in Toastmasters communication skill development as going from chart to heart, because the programme brings you into contact with concepts, for example. So in my case, it was how do we speak persuasively? And when we speak persuasively, we want to think about both logic and emotions. And I discovered the impact on others of my communication when I was able to include more emotion in a persuasive topic. And then in the programme, receiving that feedback from people, it gave me the confidence to think, I can do that again. Let me try bringing more emotional content into the things I say and stop seeing myself as a channel of information and start seeing myself as a channel of relationship communication. And so for me, that was really important. And I think that's what happens with others too. The whole programme being built around people at the centre and learning to develop that skill of a softer communication in some cases, not always, but a softer communication that thinks about the individual, that tailors the message to the person that you're with, that teaches you the skills of listening. Listening's a big thing in Toastmasters. We learn how to listen actively and deeply, because that's an enormous gift of respect that you give people when you are really willing to listen. And the feedback portion of our programme is when someone has listened to you and will feed back to you, not just what they heard, but what they experienced through your communication. That's a powerful tool to have, to then think, if I need to deliver this message again, what did I learn from that experience of my impact on someone else? I had the very great privilege in January this year to speak at an event, an online event, for our Toastmasters leaders in the country of Ukraine, which of course is involved in a war at the moment, has been for some time. And those leaders, those Toastmasters leaders, I will never forget what they said to me during that training. They said, this war will never stop us from developing ourselves, because developing ourselves is too important. And that really touched my heart, that people who are in the middle of a conflict that impacts every moment of their day would see that value and the importance to themselves. It's not even just seeing the value of Toastmasters, it's seeing the importance to themselves of those skills of communication, of leadership, of relationship building, and of improving yourself so that you might be more effective within your society. Because those are skills, when you have them, that no one can take away from you.
That was such a beautiful, poignant example. Thank you for that, Morag. We go in for a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
The People's Platform.
People shouldn't be afraid of their government. Instead, governments should be afraid of their people.
NPP is by design, and it's not only in Sri Lanka, even across out of Sri Lanka as well.
I had to go to my cabinet minister secretary even to get a small thing passed.
That's a different question. The authorities are there. Why aren't you going?
The integrity was compromised by the bribery commission.
Chairman of the party does not attend when you all sign a MOU with GLP and Nalagodeva, which is quite important.
Who was trying to safeguard the robbers of central bank.
We know
while
in Sri Lanka there are issues.
Inquiry was going on.
People wanted Gotabaya, right? People elected him.
But what we can see is that it has certainly stalled. There is no public record of what these cases were.
In particular, the things are very severe when President is also the Minister of Finance.
I will give you a post how it came about. It was not argued in the parliament. It was not even put in the cabinet. It was forced down the throat of the people of this country without an election.
අම්මට අප්සෙට්. උඹලා හරියමං විදියට වැඩක් නොකර රට්ටුන්ට කයි කතන්දර හදන්න chance දෙනවට.
ඔයා මාත් එක්ක යන්න ලෑස්ති වෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒක හරි ඉක්මනට වෙන්න ඕනේ. මොකද්ද වගේ සීන් එක? ස්නේහා බැඳලා.
කියා දෙන්න ආදරේ තරම් අද රාත්‍රියට ඉදියට.
සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්.
හැමෝම මෙතනින් දුවන්න මේකේ බෝම්බයක්.
මේ ප්‍රේම කුරුල්ලයි කිරිලි දෙන්න ලබනාත්ම එකතු වෙන්න තමයි යන්නේ.
අද රාත්‍රී 9:30 සිරස ටෙලිතිරයෙන්.
We live in a world of progress. But what if progress isn't reaching everyone? Millions of Sri Lankans struggle without access to clean water, safe roads and bridges to a better life. But you have reached out. You have touched their lives. Thank you, Sri Lanka, for making Gammadda the most impactful rural development movement in our nation. Gammadda, for the people, by the people.
So the SLPP has no moral right, or basically they are lying to people if they are saying that they need power to give justice to this horrific attacks.
So I can assure you that when these latest crossover talks were happening, they're talking about 4 members in particular.
We couldn't agree with the decision to appoint Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe as the president. He opposed that and we went to opposition.
Then bring more women into the labour force. And it's not just for women. When you bring more women into, this is a huge section of the society that's left out of the productive economic process, right?
The issue that came about was the opposition was unable to read the writing on the wall.
We just can't go and argue in front of people that, you know, we don't want this X gentleman and we need to get a Y gentleman.
There's a greater decline, no? Then that is the situation currently, but we have to fix somewhere now.
The People's Platform.
Welcome back. We're in conversation with Morag Mathieson, President, Toastmasters International. Morag, when we take Toastmasters International, which continues to expand globally, speak to us about how you ensure that the organization's values and mission remains consistent across different cultural contexts.
Our values and mission in the organisation are well established now. And of course, expansion globally means that we need always to make sure that we have a common understanding. And this is actually something within the last year that the Board of Directors has done, is to take our values and explore again what they mean with the new generation of Toastmasters around the world. We bring the leaders of our district together for training twice a year, and we talk a lot about that mission and those values and how they matter. Those districts then, the district leaders that we bring that with, have their own teams in their district, and in this case the district is the country here of Sri Lanka. Also the Maldives are part of the same district with Sri Lanka. And there is an expectation that they will continue to train those values. It's something we talk about a lot because they are important. We have, as an organisation, we have 4 core values: integrity, respect, service and excellence. And they are very much at the heart of everything we do. So they're talked about a lot and, as I say, part of training also for us.
How do you also prioritise diversity, equity and inclusion?
It's a big topic in the world today, for sure. And it's something we had a working group to look at this just over a year ago, about 18 months ago. We had a working group to look at this, to try and understand what that means for us as an organisation, as an international organisation, and in the times we're in. And I think one of the challenges is the diversity, equity and inclusion agenda, if you like, is different depending on where you are in the world. And one of the things that we feel very strongly is that diversity is in fact our reality as an organisation, because we are open to people aged 18 years and over. So we have a huge spectrum of age. I met a lady at the weekend who's 85 years old here and still working our programme and loving it.
Right.
So age goes across everything. Nationality, being in 148 countries. Gender, so many different aspects of diversity that is ours. One of our parts of our mission, our club mission, is about providing a safe space. It's about providing a supportive and positive learning experience for every member who comes. And that is the challenge for our clubs, to do that where they are, to make sure that people can be incorporated. So we've done some work, for example, for to make our programs more accessible to people with visual impairment,
Right.
so that that's easier for them. We've had to deal with the reality of hearing impaired people on our board of directors. So we never say you cannot be part of this because you're different. We always look for the solution to how can we include you so that you can be as fully part of this as we are. And when I think about my role as chair of the board of directors, I have I have a board of 20 different people from many different countries, and that part of my role is to make sure that we are thinking as broadly as we can and enabling people to be part of it. And sometimes that's recognising that an individual's English language skills are very different to the native speakers on the board, and to make sure that they are in no way disadvantaged, to make sure that when we have briefing papers to read, that people have enough time to read them. Because someone living in Germany, I work in my second language a lot of the time, and I know that it just takes longer. It's not that you can't do it, you just need more time to be able to do it. And so we work with our clubs with this expectation of you're going to provide a safe space that welcomes everyone. And I see clubs working together to help their members who are different in so many ways.
Speak to us also about some of the significant challenges that you face and what kind of strategies you're using to overcome them.
One of the big challenges we faced was indeed this moving from being largely in person to online during the pandemic, and now post-pandemic having to re-establish the organisation globally.
Right.
So we lost a lot of our clubs during the pandemic simply because a lot of corporations stopped having corporate clubs during that time because their employees were not together and they were not able to quickly pivot into a different format. So we've had to really work with the reality of our situation and say, how does our programme go forward at this time post-pandemic? What is our structure? So we're at the moment that one of the things my board is looking at is organisational structure in the light of the post-pandemic era and what that would mean to give the organisation greater stability going forward. You know, as we're approaching our 100th anniversary this year, that's a really big consideration for us of what the future looks like. So we've been a lot of thinking around that. The other challenges we face are challenges like financial challenges that happen around the world. Many countries are disadvantaged financially because of the circumstances we're in. We're also seeing some countries now beginning to charge taxation on dues that members pay, so the fees that members pay for the programme. For example, in India, the Indian government now want to levy tax on top of that, making it much more expensive. We're seeing the same thing in Sri Lanka. We're seeing it in some of the states of the United States. And we have no idea which country is going to come next looking for some additional taxation for certain things. So we're really having to work that through because it is very difficult then for members. It's difficult for us in promotion of financials and also in budget planning of knowing exactly how that's going to impact us and how we're going to manage the finances of the organisation. Also with greater diversity, there are countries where it's difficult to transfer local currency out. So we're having to find ways as an organisation always to make global financial options available for different people. There's some of the things that we're facing as challenges at the moment.
Okay. Looking ahead, what are your goals and aspirations for Toastmasters International in your role as international president?
I'm the first female president from outside North America.
Okay.
So I probably have a little bit of a different perspective to some of my predecessors because I have had the experience of being a club leader and a district leader away from where the organisation began in the US and come with a different view. I led a district in Europe that had 18 different countries with lots of different currencies and cultures coming across there. And so I'm very concerned as a leader of how do we embrace the global nature of the organisation and the richness of diversity that we have, and how do we see that for the future of the organisation. You know, I am well aware that when we step up in leadership, we become role models for others, and I'm concerned that I'm eager to see others embrace what I have done in stepping into the fullness of their leadership. It's also very important to me right now to be thinking about how our education programme evolves. We're not an organisation that's had many different versions of our programme over 100 years, relatively few. But we launched a new education programme back in 2017 that's based online. So our members work with the programme online, and then they give their speeches and so on in meetings. That helped us enormously in the pandemic because the materials were available to everyone immediately. Right. But now we have to say, well, what's the next generation of that? So we're upping our technology. Technology is always a challenge for organisations that are trying to keep lean budgets because technology advances quickly. So we're looking at we're at the moment going to be revamping some of the technology side of our programme that will launch later this year, but we're also looking again at the content of the programme, and we'll be launching some new modules in there on things like inclusive leadership, for example, coming in the next months to the organisation. It's important to keep it relevant to where we are today and to refresh the programme without radically changing. That's one of our things at the moment.
Sure. How does collaboration feature in this equation? Collaboration with members, collaboration with governments?
Collaboration is an important, very important part of what we do. So because of our structure, you know, clubs are asked to collaborate, for example, to run events together. Districts in a country would collaborate with the organisations in their country. You know, if, as we talked about earlier, corporate leaders who are interested would collaborate with the district leaders to help us help them deliver the programme for them. For us, we also have a partnership with Rotary International, where we've provided materials for them. We also have provided space for some of their leaders to come and speak in our environment, and we have gone to support them in theirs. And that's an ongoing thing for us globally, because we want to help with what we have so that our Rotary friends can help with what they have in a better way through what we do.
And Morag, throughout the conversation, I was just thinking one thing. I wish you would start a Toastmasters club in the Sri Lankan Parliament. Inclusive leadership, empathy. I mean, those are skills we require.
I would love to. And for anyone watching from the Sri Lankan Parliament today, please get in touch. We would love to come and work with you.
All right, fantastic. This has been lovely, Morag. Thank you very much for joining us on this program.
Thank you. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you, Sonali.
Thank you for watching us. We'll see you again next week. Good night.